First of all, I apologize that I'm so late. I apologize for keeping you waiting. You see this little ear things in my ear. It's sort of like a telethon to raise money for cancer. And so I'm this year's speaker. So I'm going to be on throughout the night. And we're trying to raise $3 million for, it's called the RCCS, which means the Rofei Cholim Cancer Society. And unfortunately, I've had people in my family who have had cancer, who have had to use their services. So I figured it was the right thing to do to speak. Okay, so this is going to be our first week. And Liat, did you kick us off already?
Okay, so let me just explain how this is all going to work. Oh, Natalie wants to know the link to donate. Hello, Rabbi Klatzko. How sweet are the girls in this program?
That's crazy beautiful. You're going to post it. I'm going to put the link over. This is actually the link to the YouTube. It's going live. So afterwards, if you're available, you could watch it. It's entertaining. But I think on the RCC website, put in rccs.org, and I think you're going to find it, okay?
Okay, so let me just explain how this is going to work. Rabbi Klatzko is going to inspire us and explain to us and bring us all in for 20 minutes into the world of personal values. And then after that, we are going to do breakout rooms and bring it personal back to home. And you're going to have a moderator in each room and some of your peers, and you're going to actually talk it out and bring some of these ideas, make it real in your life. So a lot of you people signed up because it just sounded exciting and Rabbi Klatzko was here, but you didn't know you're going to walk away with something so real and so personal and something you could hang up on your wall, literally. So what's going to be is that I'm going to actually post in this chat when Rabbi Klatzko is done speaking. I'm going to post a flip book that you're actually going to do in the breakout rooms, okay? So take it away, Rabbi Klatzko.
Okay, good. And I just want to say, usually at the end, I would say goodbye. I don't know if I'm going to be on again, so Liat will do that. I'm going to start with something really controversial in an interesting way, okay? Hitler, whenever we say a wicked person's name, in Hebrew we say, Yamach Shemo v'zichro, his name should be obliterated. Here's my question for you. When Hitler looked in the mirror in the morning, every morning, I'm sure he looked in the mirror, combed his little mustache, did he say to himself, I'm looking at an evil, wicked, murderous, horrible person? Or did he say, I'm looking at a really good, moral, ethical person? I'm going to throw that question out. You can unmute yourselves. I'm curious if you can figure out how Hitler looked at himself every morning. It's a fascinating question. We got Stephanie here. I'm sure you got something to say, Stephanie. What do you think?
I think in his mind he was moral, but not in other people's minds.
Okay. What do you, excellent, Marcy. What do you say, Stephanie? You were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard question. I mean, you want to give people the benefit of the doubt, but probably not him. And also because that was his plan, I'm sure he did not think he was doing anything bad.
Okay. Many years ago, there was a movie, a film, and there was a character, a comedic character named Dr. Evil. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Dr. Evil. I think he used to put his...
Austin Powers.
There we go. Austin Powers.
Sorry, that's one of my favorite movie series.
Oh, amazing. So here's the question. In real life, can there be a Dr. Evil? And the answer is, in real life, there can't be. Meaning, everyone, even Hitler, had to look in the mirror in the morning and say, I'm a good guy. The comedy behind Dr. Evil is because in the real world, Dr. Evil can't exist. no matter how terrible we are, Mao Zedong, who probably killed way more people than Hitler, as did Stalin, said, I'm a good guy. There is something inherent within us that needs to be able to look in the mirror in the morning and say, I'm good. Now, we could look back at history and say, are you kidding? Are you a maniac? You're a murderer. You build gas chambers. You build crematoriums. How in the world could you say you're a good guy? And the answer is that we all need to say that we're good people. Now, if that's the case, how do we know that we really are? How do we know the values that we have are amazing values? And of course, Hitler's an extreme example. I'm going to close this door, get a little more quiet. Hitler is, of course, an extreme example, but how does anyone know whether the morals that they swear by, that they live by, is good? That's right. Like Haley said, no one in real life can say I'm evil. So how do we know if we got it right? And the reason that question is important is because ultimately, the Torah, the Almighty, who is just, kind, true, perfect in his ways, wants us to emulate his ways. And it's hard to emulate ways if he, Hashem, is good, a giver, a lover, the epitome of kindness and truth, and we are not that. So this is a very troubling question. And the question becomes even deeper when we realize that our country, I'm saying the United States. Is anyone here not from the United States? Okay, we got some Canadians. Thank you. You guys keep us sane. Although the price of wood now is crazy because of you guys. But okay, that's another story. So in America, there was just this huge election. And the election wasn't about Biden-Trump, but the election really was about morals, right? Can we agree with that? It's really about morals. Who has their finger on the pulse of morality? And when you vote for one or the other, that means you consider one of those morals correct and incorrect. So I'm going to share with you a beautiful, important idea. It's an idea that we need to understand when it comes to morality. We live in an age that has certain moral values. And those values have changed drastically since I was a kid and since my father was a kid. I'll give you an example. It used to be you could be fined and kicked off the air, I'm talking about radio, for saying the word hell. Now, today, nobody blinks when that word is said. So who got it right? Who got it wrong? Were they prudish? Are we liberal and open? How do I know which moral is the correct moral? If you could answer this question, Leah Goldman from Toronto, you can then live an amazing life. And if you can't answer this question, then we live our lives in doubt of our moral compass, and that's scary. So the first thing to know is a concept called the moral wave. And the moral wave works like this. Society has its set of morals and ethics. And then as society continues and progresses, as time passes, society pushes the envelope. And it pushes it, and things that were forbidden or taboo are now not so forbidden. And then it pushes it a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, until finally society is okay with things which are abominable. We would call them disgusting and awful. Let me give you an example. In Rome, it was considered good practice if you had a child, a boy, to give over that boy to your neighbor who happened to be a soldier to break him in and to man him up, meaning to bed him. Now, can you imagine a person of good conscience taking his 8-year-old, giving it over an 8-year-old kid to a next door neighbor who's a soldier to basically violate? And that was considered good. Now, we look back, we say, wow, that is pedophilia, that's coercion, that's rape, forget it. But that was considered okay. So what happens is society pushes the envelope, pushes it until the wave crashes, right? If you've been to the ocean, been to a beach where the wave gets bigger and bigger until finally it can't stand under its own weight and it crashes down. And that's what happens to society. Eventually, society says, what in the world have we been doing? This is terrible. This is awful. And society snaps back and becomes incredibly conservative and some would say prudish. And then again, after a while, it pushes the envelope, pushes until the wave crashes. Do you understand this concept? Did I explain it well? So it turns out that our attitude towards anything moral all depends when we were born in the moral wave. That's all it is. So whether we're speaking about abortion, homosexuality, death penalty, any of the hot button issues that we feel like we got it right, we at least need to understand that our attitude is nothing but the fact that we were born at a certain point in the moral wave. And therefore, the chances of you, Ariella, from New York, the chances of you being born in the exact point in the moral wave that got cosmic morality correct, you know what I'm saying? Because I'll tell you something, you're going to have kids one day and they're going to look at you because they're going to be born in a different place in the moral wave. And they're going to look at you and say, Mom, you were okay with this, or this was taboo. What were you thinking? In the same way that we look at our parents or grandparents. So what it does is it sort of cuts us down a little bit to size, not to be so, I would say, I'm going to use this word sort of lightly, but sort of arrogant that we've got it, that we've got what is moral and what's not. We have nothing but where we were born. I was born in 1968. Don't do the math. Okay? My kids were born in 2004, 2003. It was a different world. Today we call it, it's really a little bit before my time, but they call it the leave it to beaver world. Anyone hear that expression? Leave it to beaver is? I'm so, yeah, who said that? It's like an old television show. Did anyone here ever see the movie called Pleasantville?
I was just talking about it. Somebody just asked me about that.
Okay, definitely
I
worth
think I'm
one.
seeing it.
With like June Cleaver, and everything's in black and white, and everything's so polite, and the husband and the wife, and everyone knows how to speak to each other, and there's never a curse word uttered, and no one ever overdoses on drugs. And the great scandal that is the plot is someone was caught cheating on their homework. And that's like, wow, cheating on homework, what a moral dilemma. And that's like the 1960s, right? Today we speak of the opioid crisis. Like, they were speaking about cheating on homework, right? So we are stuck knowing what is correct, what's not. And as great and as almost arrogant as we want to feel like we got it, we nailed it. We know who should get married to who is considered alive, who's considered dead, what words are considered curse words, what words, nothing, none of that is anything. You're just a product of the moral wave. So I was once on a plane and I'm sitting next to a fellow who is bashing Israel. And I was flying from New Zealand. Now that's a long flight. And I do not, you've flown there, right, Rachel? That's a freaking long flight. And I did not want to sit next to a Israel hater. Like it would have come to an old expression, fisticuffs. Fisticuffs. That's they used to call it in boxing before there were boxing gloves. Leah, you recognize that, right? Fisticuffs, right? That's what it would have come to. Like I was going to knock the guy out, like stop bashing. That's my land. So I decided I'm going to change the subject, let him know I'm a rabbi. He knew I was Jewish. And then he says, I don't like religion. I think humanism is better than religion. Right? Humanism. What's humanism? Like a very brief way of explaining it is we take humanity and it's our best understanding of its needs and its moral shortcomings and its issues and its problems. And we use that as our moral compass. So today, for example, we may be speaking about the environment or global warming, which has a humanistic element to it. Because if you drive a car that's terrible for the environment, you're sort of directly affecting my life, right? Would we agree with that or in a roundabout way? So he says, I think humanism is better than religion. And he wanted, he was looking for an argument again. And I said to him, I would agree with you. So he was shocked, like, really? You're a humanist? I said, no, I would agree with you because religion is primarily fake. Most religions were created by some man or lady, either for power or maybe they had some good ideas for mankind, or maybe they were delusional. There could be a lot of reasons that people begin movements. And when somebody began a movement 1,000 years ago, even if they had the best of intentions, what happens over 1,000 years? Humanity changes. And if you give me a set of rules 1,000 years ago, then those rules may not apply today, while humanism is flexible enough to pivot according to our needs in the year 2020. So why would I listen to some guy's idea, however good intentioned, from 1,000 years ago over humanism, which takes into account the human condition today? I said, but there's something that trumps humanism. He says, what's that? I said, true religion. If there was a religion that's actually true, that the creator of space, time, and matter, who knows the past, knows the future, knows it all, doesn't have those inborn character flaws that have been woven into the true religion, a true God who transcends time, he would be better than humanism. He would have to be. And I'm going to finish with this. You know how he would have to be? Because humanism, by its very nature, must admit that what they thought 20 years ago was okay or not okay is not the same as what they think today. People evolve, people change. There's an admittance, there's an acknowledgement in humanism that what people did 100 years ago may have been utterly corrupt or foolhardy. So humanism, while it tries its best right now, still has to admit that until this point, they got it wrong. But if a religion is true, if there's a God that transcends time, then the morals that that God introduces also transcends time. So these are my words of introduction to how we know why we suspect, expect, and hope that the morals that are taught by Judaism, which does make a claim to a divine truth. Now, others do as well. And that's a different conversation, why we think we're right and they're wrong. That's a good conversation to have. That's not for now. But if it is true, then it trumps humanism. And then it behooves us to live according to those morals. And we'll never make a mistake of pledging allegiance to the moral wave of the moment, having to backtrack 10 years from now. Okay, is this pretty clear? I know it's sort of psychological stuff, but it's fascinating how morals develop and why there's an acknowledgement that we always get it wrong, while within Judaism, we strive our best to keep our morals and our ethics consistent and eternal and universal. Okay, so that's a lot of food for thought. Rebbetzin Gerelik.
Thank you so much, Rabbi.
Okay, you're
That was
welcome.
food for thought.
Okay, so I wish you all well, and we're going to try to raise some money for cancer patients and help them get better.
You should have so much hatzlacha, luck. It's not really luck. Hatzlacha is like, you should just be, showered with blessings. How about that?
Amen. I'll take it. Bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you so much, Rabbi.